Hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. How about you?
I'm doing good. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure.
Oh, awesome. Well, and with that as well, thank you for reaching out to me to do an interview. I mean, really enjoying your band and stuff like that. I mean, it's awesome to be able to talk to you and be able to help promote this new album.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. That means a lot.
Oh, of course. And with that, I mean, the fact that the brand new album, Memoir of Free Will, is almost 2 months old now through Unique Leader Records. I mean, how does it feel to have this album out for almost 2 months now?
It's definitely gone by really quick. The response has been more than we could have ever asked for. It's definitely an honor and a huge pleasure to have been able to work with Unique Leader. And that's really all I can say. I mean, it's, been absolutely surreal. And, I'm really proud to have had the opportunity to work with the guys that I do. And, I think it's opened up a bunch of new doors for us, definitely helping to expand just our overall base and range and reach, and we'll kind of see where it goes. I think right now it's almost at 200,000 streams on Spotify, so definitely not mad about those numbers. So that's pretty cool. And it was a blast to record. It was a blast to record, and it's so much fun to play. We really think that this is kind of where we're starting to kind of come into our own and mature kind of as the next level of musicians from Soul and Bottom, which was the previous album, and we'll kind of see where it goes from here. You know what I mean? This is definitely the next step up, though, for sure.
Yeah, and I definitely love the progression that you guys have done as a band. I mean, it really feels like you guys really stepped up your game with this album.
Oh, thank you. That was definitely our goal, especially with the addition of Mac. We kind of went from doing a more deathcore, progressive metalcore kind of thing to really trying to experiment with tech death. Our influences have definitely changed since Soul and Bottom as well, kind of towards the more beyond creation, art, spire, tile style, stuff like that, kind of going more tech, definitely, and still loving the progressive side of things as well. Trying to kind of have a different sound than hopefully anybody else is doing. That's kind of the goal, while also, like I said, progressing and maturing as musicians and kind of doing that whole thing. So we'll see kind of where we go from here. I mean, now we're starting to kind of experiment with more Gojira style things and kind of going that route vocally and, kind of trying to really find our sound, which was difficult to do because we had a couple different lineup changes. We went through a couple different vocalists and, had some stuff with that. But the group of guys that I got involved with are definitely the best, I think that I could have gotten my hands on. I mean, every guy that is in this band, Adam's an incredible guitar player. Brandon, does amazing recording. He does all the production, mixing, mastering for our album. Jamie King recently just did the mastering for Memoir of Free Will, but Brandon did all the mixing. He's kind of our secret weapon. Brian comes up with these amazing bass lines, and Mac with incredible vocals, and I just kind of try my best to keep up. But that's kind of really what we intended to do with this album, was take it up a couple notches and just kind of see how the public reacted, and so far so good.
And with that in mind, I mean, with so many lineup changes and being able to find the sound that fits the band the right way, I mean, what is that like for you, being able to adapt to all these different situations?
I think it's for the best. Really, with us, we just kept our head up and kind of kept our sight on the goals. Really, mostly the lineup changes, almost entirely, have been vocals. Brian was kind of the last added member before Tyler, who was our vocalist before Mac. So it was kind of me, Brandon, and Adam just kind of at the start when we were starting to write Mount of Sacrifice, which was our first EP, which actually turns 5 this year, and which is pretty cool. We're thinking about doing like a remaster, re-recording kind of with that with Mac, so that's kind of on the hush-hush. We're thinking about that. But it's just kind of been one of those things that almost has kind of been like the pick of destiny. You know what I mean? We didn't really know where to go after Tyler unfortunately had to leave. So we just started scouting around, and we were like, we don't know what we're going to do. Should we go instrumental? Should we do this? We didn't want to just settle just to have a vocalist. We wanted to have somebody who still had the same mindset as us, still had the same dedication and attention to detail and music theory knowledge and all of that, the same that we kind of put into it. And we really lucked out. We searched for that better part of a month finding Mac, and happened to find him just based on a little video he put online of a Shadow of Intent cover, and we were like, who the hell is this guy? I knew him for about a year prior, but as a drummer, because Mac kind of played drums a little bit. Started out vocals, realized that he had some insane talent. I mean, he's only been doing vocals for a couple of years, including the time that he's been with us. So we definitely lucked out. And, he was like, yeah, I'll make it work. We just kind of made it work. That's just kind of our mission statement. It's just that no matter what, we're still going to, really focus on what we want to do, make it work, and really not take failure for an answer.
Oh, that's so cool. So, what about personally for yourself? I mean, when you go through the previous EPs and albums, I mean, the display of what you can do on the drums has just increased with every single album. I mean, what is that like for you to be able to adapt like that?
Well, thank you, first of all. I really do appreciate that. I really have to give Brandon some credit for that, because he does, whenever he's writing the song structure, a lot of times he'll kind of give me somewhat of a skeleton for me to kind of go off of, and really kind of hone it in. And even then he'll be like, hey, put this here instead of this here. He is a music theory master, even more so than I will ever be. So I really have to give him, really give him the credit for that. But, it's really one of those things that I just wanted to make sure that I really honed in my craft and my skill as much as I could to try to keep up with them, and really make sure that, as they progress musically, as Brandon progresses musically, that I'm making sure that I'm, working on whatever skills I need to be able to also be on the same level, as them, essentially. So, it's been a lot of work. I mean, it's kind of been a struggle, kind of trying to figure out what to focus on, as well as, really putting in the time to try to get myself to the next level, learn those techniques, really focus on rudiments, try to actually learn as much theory as I possibly can. And I mean, it's tough. I'm not going to lie. It's not like it's easy for me. I started out kind of playing metal, but this is definitely another level from anything I've ever tried to play before. So, really at this point now, just trying to get as fast as I can, as clean as I can, while also still staying true to my progressive roots, essentially, and just making sure that I'm able to execute it as well as they would want me to as a drummer.
Oh, that's so cool to see that too. And I really enjoy your setup as well too. I mean, just being able to look at it and everything that you're able to accomplish on a kit like that, and the array of cymbals that you have. I mean, it's great to see that you don't need a gigantic kit to be able to pull off everything that you do.
That's definitely kind of the goal of mine, to keep it kind of, well, for a couple of reasons. One, it's a lot easier to tour with a smaller kit. And two, for me, my thought is, if you can do it, with a smaller kit and less kind of disposable, you can do it with a bigger kit. I'd rather have to do that than rely on a larger kit and be like, oh crap, I'm kind of a slave to all these things, and need those things to be able to do the things I do. I'd rather kind of try to have less and work up. So that was kind of always kind of my goal. And plus, I just like the setup. It's just kind of how I've always played, with the two toms, a handful of cymbals, snare, and kick. Just kind of an old jazz/punk setup. You don't really need anything more than that, really, I don't think. That's how a lot of my favorite drummers play. Matt Halpern, for a while, just used that for a while. Matt Halpern from Periphery, who's my favorite band, had one tom. He just had one tom, snare, and kick, and cymbals. And he was able to accomplish, an insane amount. So my thought is, if he can do it, why can't I? If the drummer for Rings of Saturn, or I guess no longer Rings of Saturn, he plays for the Faceless, but my friend Aaron did it with two toms, why can't I? A lot of these drummers are kind of scaling down, and they're still able to produce insane sounds on the kit. So that's just kind of how I've always had it. I had a third tom to my left for a little while, but it was really just kind of unnecessary. I just kind of found that not only was it less maintenance and upkeep to have less drums, but then I could kind of focus on a quality over quantity kind of thing, and that's just kind of how I've had it ever since. Plus, it makes it easier to, like I said, carry around and store, especially with our tour van, not having a trailer and everything.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, I absolutely love that. And I'm glad that you and so many other drummers see it that way, where it really is quality over quantity. I mean, yeah, it can look cool seeing a gigantic kit like that, but it's like if you're only using a couple drums and a couple cymbals on there and the rest of it is just for aesthetic, you should just get rid of all of that, because if you're not going to use it, it just seems like it's so much more hassle to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things that, personal preference, a lot of times if you are playing technical death metal or, a genre similar to that, you might want to have more just because you might want to have more toms for sounds or, a more studio style kit. And I definitely get that. But for touring and, really anything like that, I think the more you can condense your kit, the better. I mean, I've thought about even going down to just one tom, but musically I wouldn't be able to play the parts. So, I kind of have two as kind of the minimum. But yeah, I mean, I love, the kits that I have. I used to be endorsed by Anchor. Then I switched over to Mapex relatively recently, and they gave me a 5-piece, and I don't even use one of the toms. I was actually going to sell it or just use it as like kind of a backup. So, it's one of those things, like I said, kind of quality over quantity. Plus for myself, kind of trying to keep it on the economy side, reskinning, 2 toms and a snare and a kick, a lot easier than trying to reskin, a ton of toms and have all this extra gear that's taking up space. And it's just more practical to me personally.
Oh, for sure. And with that in mind, like you mentioned, you are now over with Mapex drums. I mean, what was that like to be able to start working with them?
It was absolutely surreal. I met a guy named Ben at NAMM, and his name's Ben St. John. He's been, quite a mentor and a tutor to me, honestly, on the business side of things. And I met him at NAMM whenever I went my first time, and just kind of spoke to him. And I was kind of looking for a new drum endorsement, and I intentionally originally went over to him with the intention to actually get my little brother an endorsement with Jupiter. My little brother is now with XO Brass, which is under the same parent company of KHS, who also does Mapex. And I started talking to him, and we just really, clicked. He was a really cool dude, really genuine, really, took care of his artists. I could tell, just really great guy. And then kind of working with him to get my little brother an endorsement, he offered me one with Mapex, and it was absolutely surreal and a huge lesson to me that it's really not what you know, it's who you know, especially in the music industry. It was definitely the most exciting partnership that I've ever had, and I would never say that in front of any of my other endorsements, because I wouldn't want to offend them, obviously. But Mapex was a whole new level. It was definitely more exclusive. It was definitely more, I think, prestigious. I still don't feel like I deserve it, quite frankly, but I'm not going to say no. And just from there, they've just been great. I mean, they've really taken care of me like family so far. I visited them, their booth again when I went to this past NAMM. Ben introduced me to everyone. He introduced me to all the reps, all the people there, people that manage the social media, whole 9 yards. And it's just been great. It's really been great. I love my Armory kit more than I can put into words. And, I think this is definitely going to be the start of the next level of endorsements for me. I also recently reached out to Aquarium. That's also kind of on the hush hush, but not a big deal. It's not a big deal if anybody knows. But I reached out to them, and I'm just kind of in talks with them right now. So I think being with Mapex will open up a number of doors. Once people say that I partnered with them, it kind of adds a street cred element. So we'll see. It's definitely been surreal, though.
Oh, again, that's just incredible to see that. So when thinking about that, I mean, when everything did happen with this deal with Mapex, like, how did you decide what you were looking for in a new set?
Well, the funny thing was I actually wasn't. I had been with Anchor for the better part of a couple years. They made me a custom kit. Anchor's worked with some decent size names. The drummer from Silent Planet was with them. The guy from Bought by Blood was with them. And he kind of was working with me, was very nice. His name is Sean Skipper, which I think is pretty cool to have anchor drum, Sean Skipper. But he made me my custom kit. It was a good couple grand. It was a very high-end kit. And I didn't ever think I was going to go anywhere from them. I thought I was going to stay with them. And, he was just kind of a no contract kind of thing, just kind of a, hey, I'm just going to kind of take care of you and help you out. And I wasn't really expecting anything with Mapex. I wasn't really looking for a new kit, which is funny that you mentioned that. It was one of those things that was kind of like, hey, would you like to partner with Mapex and KHS America? And I was just like, yeah, absolutely. So from there, it just kind of, skyrocketed into, this whole new thing that I didn't really expect. And, like I said, I think it's going to open a lot of doors now that people see that I'm kind of with a bigger, more mainstream company. I mean, these are drums that I sell at Guitar Center as a salesman. It's so cool to see them selling the same kit that I'm using as an endorsed artist. And it definitely helps as a selling point too. For me as an employee. So, like I said, it was just kind of unexpected, but, definitely a huge blessing for sure.
Oh, totally. So when everything came together with Mapex, like when you were deciding like on the series and the type of wood and stuff like that, like where did you go with that?
So it was actually one of the reps. Ben was kind of the guy that got me into it, but he hooked me up with a representative from my area who gave me all the information I needed. He was kind of saying, hey, this is essentially how much you get off. This is what you get. Here's a different kind of kits. Here's a different kind of levels of kits. Here's what's most popular, all the information. We went back and forth on email for like a good solid week. And I kind of was bouncing around. I didn't really have a whole lot of money at the time. And, I was kind of like, okay, well, I don't want to do like the most economy version because I used to play the Mars, the Apex Mars, which is kind of the entry level. I was like, no, I kind of want to get something better if I'm going to be touring with this and doing videos and stuff. So he was like, well, check out the Armory. And the Armory is a really good kit. It's very affordable, but it's, maple. It's incredible. It's an incredible kit. Looks cool as hell, too. So that was kind of the one I went with, and I got a Tomahawk snare. It was my first metal snare, and that thing is an absolute firecracker. I mean, it sounds like a shotgun. Especially with like rim shots and stuff. It is the best. I love that snare so much. And it was a nice contrast from kind of what I was playing with my Anchor kit, because the Anchor kit was it's just very different. It was almost not a more jazzy kit, but it just had more depth to it, and it was just different wood, and this one was just a little bit more kind of designed for what I play as a metal musician. So it was really great. It was great to have this and be able to play it, and I still love it. I mean, I play it all the time. Every time I go practice, that's the only kit I use. And any videos, which I'm trying to shoot, but under quarantine because of the wonderful virus. So, yeah, I mean, I just kind of picked out what I thought was best for me, and with the help of those guys, they found, what they think would be best, and I've loved it ever since.
Oh, that's incredible. And yeah, I mean, I love the way that it's turned out with that kit. I mean, it just sounds absolutely incredible. Between those amazing cymbals that you got, and with the Mapex kit, and that snare, just like you said, it's an absolute firecracker, and it just sounds incredible being able to hear that. I mean, it's just amazing to see how everything turned out the way that it has, especially, with this new album, being able to get all these great endorsements, everything that'll come in the future as well, too. And again, just seeing the reception for the album so far, and, obviously there's, with the virus going around, that's kind of sidetracked so much of what's going on, but I love the fact that the band is continuing to rise with all of this going on.
Well, I appreciate that, man. We wouldn't be able to do it without the support of, our fans and followers, and, people like you supporting us and wishing us the best and really having our backs. So, that's really been a huge defining factor in everything that's going on. And I'm very, like I said, blessed and excited to see kind of what's going to come next. And we'll see. I mean, so far it's been an absolute wild ride. None of us could have ever really anticipated this. and we'll just kind of continue to keep our head up and keep on grinding, even during, the quarantine and everything. We're writing new music, and we just rescheduled our show with Animals as Leaders, which I'm very happy about. And we got a tour, we got a couple of festivals, talking with a couple, I can't say the bands, but we're talking with a couple of really big bands and trying to form a tour for them for the winter time and stuff. So we will see. I think it's going to only be bigger from here.
Yeah, and again, I'm just so happy to see that too. I mean, with the reception this album has gotten, and the fact that you guys are already writing new material, and then everything being rescheduled, and hopefully that'll be enough time for everything to pass and everything can get back to normal. And when that does, I mean, it sounds like everything's going in that right direction. Just like you said, it's just going to keep getting bigger and better from here on out. And I'm already excited to hear what that new material is going to sound like if the album's this good already.
Well, thank you. We actually did something very interesting with this album. We, and a lot of bands do this, and we kind of just copied the idea, but we wrote more material than we were going to release, and the reason that we did that was because we could pick the best songs, the best parts, and really make this album conceptually like as much of a masterpiece as we could. It's something that we could not only be proud of, but something that we felt confident in releasing, knowing that it was truly the best work we could have put out from where we are right now as musicians, and with everything that we kind of have at our disposal. And that's really the exciting thing is, with how hard we worked on this album, it did so well. We already, just in that time, have already learned so much. Brandon has already upgraded his arsenal of a production standpoint. I've been working on techniques up in the 300 BPM, 320 BPM range. My guitarists have been learning, covers and songs. Adam's been studying a lot of the tablature from a band called Rivers of Nile, trying to learn their style of things and really get into the more progressive technical depth side of things, and kind of explore new avenues musically. So we want our new music to even blow that album out of the water. That's really the standard that we set for ourselves, is that we don't ever settle, and we are constantly refining, constantly perfecting, constantly trying to better ourselves as musicians, as businessmen, the whole 9 yards, while still trying to stay true to our roots. I mean, we're still a North Carolina band. We're still part of the North Carolina scene. We love our friends. We love our local bands. We love everyone who supported us. And, we still kind of try to keep that, not local band mindset, but, we're just doing this because it's fun. We're doing this because we enjoy it. Obviously, the business side of things can tend to cloud the purist mindset of a musician, but, it's just fun just being able to, practice our passion and play shows and hang out with our friends and meet people. We really try to stay down to earth and just keep it real 100% of the time.
Oh yeah, that's the way you gotta do it too. I mean, when you find the right group of musicians to be able to play with, all the outside sources if you need them as well. Otherwise, if you got members of the band that can help with the DIY style, like mixing, mastering, social work, I mean, whatever the case is, and being able to tour with the right bands and all of that stuff going on. I mean, as long as you find the right people to keep working with, and you're still writing music that you enjoy playing and want to be able to progress as a musician, you're doing it for the right reasons.
Exactly, and I really think that has been a key part of kind of our progress, is that we've stayed down to earth, and that we have, really tried to keep our minds focused on the right goals, not letting any egos go to our heads, not, doing the whole mightier, higher than thou thing that a lot of musicians kind of tend to do whenever they find some success. They kind of let it go to their heads, and they get so wrapped up in the social side. There's obviously going to be issues here and there with everything, but ultimately, like I said, we're really trying to just make the best music that we can and make a dream a reality. I mean, whenever I joined back in 2015, if you had told me that all these things would be happening, I never in a million years would have thought of it. I mean, I kind of really came from humble beginnings. Everything that I have now, I've just really worked hard to get. My guys are the same way. And, I just love doing it. I just love playing music. It saved my life in a number of ways. We're a very musical family. My little brother's, going to school for music right now and work with some really prestigious groups and, top top, 5 or 10 in the state for his instrument. I mean, this is really what we do, and this is our passion. And to find a group of guys that are all on the same wavelength and mindset, it is such a dream, because a lot of times you'll have members that are kind of a weak link or that don't offer as much. I mean, I can confidently say that every single one of the members has a number of talents and traits and attributes that contribute to the band as a whole, and we're all on the same wavelength about everything, which is it's so rare. And that's part of the reason why we're all so gung-ho about it, is because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for pretty much all of us. So we're just so excited that we have the opportunity to do it and make our dreams a reality, on every level. So yeah.
Again, that is just so incredible to see all of that. I mean, with this amazing new album, with all the endorsements that's coming from everyone in the band, everything to look forward to in the future with upcoming touring and shows, and the upcoming songwriting and everything else that's going on with that. I mean, just seeing where you guys are at right now, that's incredible to see that, and there's so much to look forward to in the future. And, with that, again, thank you very much for taking the time to be able to talk to me about all of it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I love doing interviews and being able to just talk with people. I mean, I have a degree in communication, so, I like communicating. And I really have to kind of thank, my professor, specifically Dr. Beckman, for helping me. I have a minor in arts entrepreneurship as well, and that has definitely helped a lot with the business side of things, because it's one thing to practice music and kind of become more proficient on the music side of things, but the business side of things is a whole nother devil. And that's really been the part that's been the most, new and unfamiliar, because it's one thing to, practice an instrument that you've been playing for a decade, but breaking into the industry and just going to NAMM alone, and working with companies, as a featured artist, it's so surreal, and I wish I could have everyone experience what this is like, because I genuinely think that if you put your mind to it, as cheesy as it sounds, you genuinely can do it. I think everyone can do it if they work hard enough and they put their minds to it. And like I said, I didn't come from money or status or any starting, help really a whole lot. I had a great family at my back, and that's definitely something to be said for that. But anyone that has the passion that me and my guys have, they can do it. You just have to really put your mind to it. That's really all it is.